Hey Shannon, let's take a look at your week 5 assignment 3 drawing here. So far it's looking good. The space is setting itself up nicely. The color is coming along well, and the textural elements are in place for the most part. And I don't think you need much in that regard. I think it feels like it's really colored pencil intensive, and I really think we need to see a little bit more marker usage from this point forward. Shading wise, I think you can really deal with the marker more. So maybe having some of these areas where you're gonna go in with a gray, hopefully, and be able to shade some of those in. Maybe definitely not as dark as what I've put it. But being able to go in with like a 20% or 40% gray and shade in some of these areas so you get a little bit better sense of form with these objects. I think in the closet itself could actually go a little darker. You have a lot of white in there, and I think going in with some gray on top of that is going to help to create a situation where it contrasts well with the rest of the room, which is very, very light in value. I think getting a little bit of a darker value in here will help to make it feel like it's in shadow. It shouldn't really feel like it's getting hit with a lot of light, and it shouldn't be anywhere near in value to some of these lighter elements. So I think maybe even going in and kind of darkening up a little bit more can help to create some contrast. I'm not sure what you mean by making the whites look better. The white areas look better. They seem fine to me. I think, again, a little bit of marker work can help to smooth some things out that feel like they're a little bit too rough and scratchy for whatever reason. But I think that can help just slightly. The rest of it, seems, I think, fine overall. I think for me, the order of business would just be, get a little bit more marker work in place and smooth out some of these kind of rougher areas. Get some value in place. Try to make it a little bit more distinct between the lights and the darks, because the scene is feeling very, very high key at this point. And so having some kind of areas where you're getting darker, so not just the closet, but say for the instance here where the door is not being hit directly with light, you can go in and make that a little bit darker than what we're seeing. Some cast shadows will definitely help to create a little bit of a nice contrast, and you don't have to have too much, but I think a little bit down here would be helpful. And anything where you think that there's probably some sense that there's not going to be a huge amount of light that's hitting the areas, I would wouldn't be afraid to go in at the very least with the 20 or a 40 gray and just fill in some of those areas. But I think that's really what's going to help fill it out and make it feel a little bit more balanced. You just right now have a lot of areas that are very bright in value, very light, very light, very light, here and here, and then all of here, and even the carpet, which again, you might be able to go in with a color, maybe even with the gray, although maybe not with the gray. But I think that you're going to have to do that to balance it out, so that it doesn't just feel like, like it hasn't been developed for the bottom half of the value scale. Everything else, I think, is working out well. It's cleaned up extremely well. The perspective is working out nicely. There is a good amount of detail in place. And it's a modest, little scene, but I think once you start to get in some dynamic values, it'll end up looking, I think, visually very interesting. But that would be, for me at least, kind of the order of the day right now as you move into the final. But you're close, and I think it's progressing along nicely and kind of being right where it should be at this point.